Hey everyone, in this video today we're going to be going over what I believe to be the best controller settings in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 1. I'm also going to be talking about what settings I use for those of you who want to try them out. One of the main points and topics I'll be discussing in this video is should you play on linear or exponential and why you should be playing on that certain setting. Stick to the end of the video for that debate and let me know your opinion on exponential versus linear. Before we get started, if you guys ever hit any sick clips or get a high kill win, or you just want to show me something cool that you did, follow my Twitter and send me a DM so I can feature it in my next videos. Comment down below and tell me what setting do you play on, exponential or linear. Anyway guys, let's get right into the video. Starting off, we're going to be discussing the basic settings that Fortnite gave us in the sensitivity update. These basic settings are your sensitivity section, which include look sensitivity, aim sensitivity, build mode, and edit mode sensitivities. And really, these are just watered down and really straight to the point settings if you guys don't want to use any of the advanced settings. I'm going to be explaining what the advanced settings are just to help you guys out a little more and go over what I use personally. Typically with these sensitivities, I recommend you guys play on a medium to a high medium. A high medium is essentially an in the middle sensitivity that's a little higher than normal. These feel really good and for the most part are universal for everyone. So with that being said, I recommend you guys play on a 5.5 to a 7.7 sensitivity. For build mode and edit mode sensitivity, I recommend not going over 1.5 for both. Anywhere from a 1.0 to a 1.5 should suit you guys best. Moving on to advanced look sensitivity, these sensitivities are just essentially a percentage version of what we got from our previous settings menu. As you can see, I have my horizontal speed and vertical speed set to 55% on both. I would essentially be playing on an X and Y sensitivity of 0.550 for both. Keep these anywhere from 50% to 80%. You shouldn't need anything more or anything less than that. Turning horizontal boost and vertical boost settings are really up to you guys to determine what's best for you because these settings are reflected off of what you have set for your own personal settings. This is really nice to have even though I have it set to 0%. I'll explain why later in this video, but essentially what this does is when your right stick is fully pushed in any direction, left, right, up, or down, and you physically can't push it any further because it's blocked by the controller, this speeds up your sensitivity so that you can keep turning or looking in a certain direction. Again, I recommend playing with this a little bit just to see where it's at for your settings personally, and turning boost ramp time is essentially just how long it takes to reach that boost time. So if you have it set to 0.20 seconds, you're going to notice there's going to be a slight delay when reaching the boost setting, but if you have it set to 0, you won't feel any delay at all. Moving on, this is the ADS sensitivity. I really recommend keeping these settings under 50% for both. I just kind of mess around with these settings. I have mine personally set to 25% for each category, and really I don't think that you're going to need boost settings for aiming or boost ramp time for this category either, just because you're not going to be aiming down sights and turning necessarily. If you understand basic Fortnite mechanics, that's not how you would play the game at all, so I recommend just leaving these settings set to default. Okay guys, time for the most important debate of the video and in the controller community. Linear versus exponential. Half of the community says if you play on linear, you're a weirdo and you're holding yourself back, and half of the controller community says if you're playing on exponential, you're a weirdo and holding yourself back. As you can see, I have my settings set to linear. Linear feels so good. I feel extremely free compared to exponential because with linear, it feels like you're playing on a mouse and keyboard. I'm not gonna lie, it does take a good bit of time to get used to linear, but once you do, it's so much better than exponential. The reason I say this is because with exponential, I feel more locked and less free with my movement, and I miss a lot more edits and had a lot less shots with all of my weapons. But with linear, the movement I make is where it's gonna be in game. It almost feels like the game is following my thumb where it exactly is placed on the stick, and that feels super good compared to the basic exponential setting. To explain what exponential actually is versus what linear actually is, exponential essentially means that your sensitivity is slowly rising, whereas linear is not slowly rising. Whatever you set your sensitivity to is what you get in game. How it was explained to me is essentially if you're playing on exponential and you have your settings set to 60% for your X and Y, as you move your right stick, you're going up 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, etc, etc. I encourage you guys to ask questions in the comment section, and for those of you who may have a better way of explaining it other than this way, definitely do leave a comment, because I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to understand this way of explaining it, but it sounds much slower than it actually is. And when playing linear for a little bit and then going back to exponential, you definitely do feel that difference between being able to move freely and feeling more locked and less in control of the game with exponential. I mentioned earlier in the video that I would tell you guys why I don't use any turning horizontal boost settings and vertical boost settings, and that's because with linear, you really don't need them because of what the controller makes the game feel like. There's a lot less leeway between having to turn and the stick being fully converged in a given area, so I keep those settings off. Now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of pro controller players who use exponential and play just fine, but with linear I don't feel slow at all, and the freedom I have with linear makes me feel in control of what I'm doing. With all that being said, I highly recommend that you guys play with linear for a day or two and try and get used to it, and if you really don't like it, change back to exponential. Moving on to my binds and dead zone, I edit with my left stick and reset with my R1 button, and confirm with my left stick. I have switch mode set to circle and crouch set to X with my jump bind being R3. I do have a scuff controller, so my paddles are assigned to jump and switch mode using my back paddles. I plan Builder Pro because it definitely helps in intense build fights and box fights, and moving on to my dead zone sensitivity, I have that set to a 0.10. This feels really smooth, and with linear turned on, I don't feel as though I have to move very much at all in order to make plays, which feels really good. Anyway guys, that's all for today's video. Leave a comment down below and tell me what settings you guys use and if you play on linear or exponential. Drop a like if you did enjoy this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.